We're back, blog 10, and we had a little hiatus, but you know, even when we're on hiatus, you know that I'm reading about the inquest every day. I'm trying to follow up on stuff, I'm writing, I'm doing stuff to camera. I would do this even if I wasn't getting paid. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm not getting paid, but you can send donations that be very gratefully received and underwrite all our, you know, all our bats and hats and artificial limbs. You can send any donations or checks to P.O. Box 74, 74140, El Paseo, that means the Pass, L-E-L-P-A-S-E-O, Palm Desert, California 92260, because we haven't got enough money to feed Sadie. Come on, Sadie. Where are you? He hasn't got enough money for food. Oh yes, checks made payable to Jacqueline Flax. Thanks a lot for that. Anywho, truth seekers, Dana devotees, it's another week at the inquest took us back to the French paparazzi. Remember them? They are the free fantasy who don't have to appear because they're French. They don't have to, and they didn't even appear via video link. No. They, the only thing that the jury got was statements that were taken by the French police on the night of the crash in 1997. And then another bunch of statements that were taken, I think about 8 years later, when Lord Stephens went and had his inquest. So it was 8 years difference, and guess what? They had changed. No change. I mean, you know, why would people change the memory of something with 8-9 years apart? But one thing that I found very interesting, that in all the statements, none of them mentioned the Fiat Uno. Remember the little petit blanc Fiat Uno who forced the car to swerve and smash into the pillar, that was seen by tourists and public alike, driving dangerously and swerving around and then hovering in front of the tunnel in case he was like because he probably was waiting for something. None of them saw this little Fiat Uno. Oh, while we just want to quickly mention the tunnel. I don't want you to think of the Alma tunnel in Paris as like this long, scary tunnel. It's sort of a tunnel like, oh, I'm in the tunnel. Oh, was that the tunnel? It's like, you know, it's like bloop and you're out. Very, very small, little petit tunnel. Anyway, so there were, one thing they all did remember, Henri Paul was drunk and driving like a madman, and he took off like a shut-off, said Monsieur Rat, otherwise known as Big Scary Rat Features, and he testified that when he arrived at the tunnel, he couldn't even see anything because there was so much smoke billowing out of it, which just goes to prove that the accident had already occurred. You see, which is what I've been saying, you know, from the beginning. Obviously, because that's what the smoke was for. And then the French police said that they couldn't get anywhere near her because of the paparazzi. Please, I mean, this is why I'm calling paparazzi swarm of wasps. Here at the Dana inquest, we're going to call them paps. Okay, so please, we know how to get rid of paps. We get in a car and we run them over because they don't like being pap smear. Then, something you won't hear in the media is that 2 break-ins occurred in London the night of the crash. Both properties belonged to the French press, and the only things that were taken were hard drives with pictures in the hard drives that had come from the Alma Tunnel, from the French paps, that sent the pictures to London. When the flats were broken into, the only thing were taken were the hard drives. What was on the hard drives that they didn't want people to see? Now, a lot of people say it may have been the Fiat Uno, but I believe that the Fiat Uno was long gone before they showed up, so no number plates. But what they probably didn't want you to see was that the fact that, yes, the crash killed Jodie and Henri Paul on impact, but Diana and Trevor Reese well, he did survive the crash, and so did Diana survive the crash. And the Mercedes probably wasn't as badly damaged on the side of the car, which she was, as people would like you to believe. Because remember, we talked about a doctor got in and out of the car and administered oxygen to the princess. She also got out the car herself and sat on the pavement for an hour while the French police were so terrified of the paps as he couldn't get into the tunnel. And then she allegedly walked into the ambulance. Now, if they had pictures of that, can you imagine? Can you imagine? Now, I'm not saying, I would never say that the impact of this terrible crash wouldn't have been enough to kill anybody, because the damage that it had done to her heart was probably severe, incredibly severe. But what I'm saying is, need it have been fatal? I mean, Hasnat Khan, who we spoke to, I'm above myself now, that we took the testimony from, you know, like 2 weeks ago, where he said, 1, Diana was fastidious about her seatbelts. Fastidious. That means, I know it's a long word, but it means that she never drove without the seatbelt connected and clicked. And the second thing, which he told Paul Burrell, 2 days later when he saw him in London, he said, I could have saved her. And not for the first time, I believe him. Okay, this was the week that the New York governor, Edward Elliot, you know, had sex with a hooker Christian who's now a multi-millionaire and recording artist, and his wife trotted behind him and supported him. And these guys make me vomit! I mean, how many times are we going to have to suffer this? Princes of the realm, presidents and governors and I'm saying, you know, mayors and God knows who else, saying, oh yeah, you know, okay, so we had sex, you know, here's my wife and she's still going to support me, and you guys are going to keep paying for me to stay in office and have big parties and hire hookers and strippers and blah blah, and that's fine. No, it is not fine. Stop standing by your man. Diana, I mean, because Charles had that, when he had that interview, he said, I didn't finish her until Diana and I only split with her after the marriage had irretrievably broken down. Well, if irretrievably broken down means the night before your wedding, yeah, then you're telling the truth. Because the night before his wedding, Camilla was sneaked onto a train at Charles's bachelor party. Charles, no strippers? Well, if Camilla was the only one there and she was stripping, no wonder no one else showed up. And President Clinton, you know, he did not have sex with her. I mean, because Diana dumped Charles. She was not going to support his lifestyle. She was not going to stand behind him and say nothing when he had mistresses. So she dumped him, exposed the whole thing, and now she's... Anyway, but Hillary, I kind of understand. Hillary probably had stopped giving out sexual favours long before Bill had panty droppings in the Oval Office, because what was her real love was being the first female president. So she stood by her man. And there's one thing I can believe: if Hillary, you can pledge to the people of the United States and this country that while you're president, you will make sure no panty droppings in the Oval Office. That's something we can all guarantee and we can all look forward to next week.